59. All right in court.
Two pages.
Yeah, you ready?
You ready?
I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Lake Butler regular meeting. Roll call, myself, Mr. Casey,
Here.
Mr. Beasley,
Here.
Mr. Redmond,
Here.
Mr. Shank,
Here.
City Attorney, Mr. Mays,
Here.
and City Manager, Mr. Walker.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
If you would, please stand for prayer, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, thank you for all the wonderful things you have done today. May we walk with you as each new day begin and end. We thank you for the meeting tonight, taking care of the citizen business of Lake Butler. Let it be productive and help us make good, sound decisions as we do the work set before us. Thank you for this season of thankfulness. Bless each of us, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, approval of agenda format.
Make a motion to approve the agenda format.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Provision, city clerk. Upon recognition by the mayor, any person may address the commission on any subject not included on this agenda. Speaker requested to give their name and address to the recording clerk for the record. And come forward to the commission table when speaking. Please be as brief as possible and limit your remarks to 4 minutes. Additional time may be granted by the commission if necessary. No action can be taken, but direction may be given to staff. Anyone want to speak this time? Consent agenda. Right here. Following discussion of these items if needed. If the commission show desire, there are no objections. All items on this consent agenda may be included and acted upon in one motion.
I make a motion for the consent agenda.
Have a motion.
Second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? October 2019 finance report. Ms. Owens?
Mr. Mayor, I'm gonna tackle that one for her. She's gonna pick up another one for me down a little further. But the financials are, we're 1 month into the fiscal year. So you're not gonna get much activity at this point. But all the funds are, either at a break even or a little bit above, and nothing unusual for the first month. The auditors are here, checking on last month, or last year, and, everything is going along smoothly so far. And that's it, unless you got any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Not me.
Motion to approve the
I make a motion that we approve the financial report for October 2019.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Item three,
The presentation by Mid-Tower about the water and wastewater projects. Greg and Joe are here to do that and to get us informed. And we're gonna, once we get finished with that, then we will adjourn the meeting and go into a public hearing for this. So building up to a grant.
Thank you, City Manager. Mr. Mayor, this is a handout that, you'll see this on the wall, but just for your information, some of that may be hard to see. And this is informational only, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. There's no action except later in the agenda. But there's been a lot of activity in recent months, and we haven't been here in some time, and we just wanted to bring it up to date as briefly as possible, and to show you about some new technology that Lake Butler is using.
What, release is on the screen?
Yep.
All right. So, thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. So, as Greg said, we just want to show some things to you, let you know what we've been working with on your staff for the last, basically, year or so. Let me just kind of
Trying to advance the slide here.
you know what, I'm probably not in that version. I probably go over that here before.
We have to do it. Go to slideshow. Got a slideshow right there. And then go from
From here.
beginning. Now go back and then go to advance. Huh. Let me just,
Let's try this, hold on. You know, I think the issue is that I'm not, whatever, I'm building the one that I'm not up there. Let's go back to this. So,
let's get my
yeah, I think so.
from the beginning?
Yeah,
I did something that was start slideshow or something, right there.
all right.
Yeah,
All right,
slide.
try that. All right, go down.
Okay, all right.
Okay. You introduce
This one's yours.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, Commissioners, and citizens, this is a picture, a collage of Lake Butler back starting about 1915, when most of your downtown was dirt roads and a little bit of electricity and very little infrastructure. Few cars, mostly horses and wagons. And the reason why that's important, because we're going to talk in a little while about what's happened since then. And then the larger photo is the grocery store, somewhere in the 30s or 40s. I couldn't find a date on that, but judging by what I see in that photo. And then at the bottom corner is the courthouse, which was built in 1936, and it was a WPA, which stands for Works Progress Administration, which was a major program in the Great Depression. And it built wonderful buildings all across America. So during this span, starting about 100 years ago, Lake Butler was developed. And that's just some historical perspective as we go through the slide. And we'll do this briefly as quickly as we can. So we're going to talk more about the mapping system. Joe's going to do that in the next slide. But over on the left-hand side there, what you have today is a sewer collection system. Everyone's hooked up to central sewer. You have, and it's pumped all the way to your master lift station, and pumped all the way to the wastewater plant, which we'll talk about a little bit later, over next to the prison. And it's also have drinking water wells and a treatment plant, and the city is completely, has a complete distribution system with fire hydrants. Now you have paved roads, a few dirt roads still, and a drainage system. And now you serve 2,000 approximately folks here and 3,000 inmates, and there's a large staff over there as well at the prison. But as perspective, in 1900 there was 431 people living in Lake Butler. And then in 1950, after World War II, it boomed to 1,000. So now, you know, we've gone a long way since a lot of the older infrastructure was put in the ground. We're going to touch on that later, but we still have in Lake Butler, especially in the old commercial corridors and the old residential areas, some infrastructure that dates back 70, 80 years.
Or more.
Or more.
Yeah. But some of your infrastructure dates back literally almost 100 years. You know, just in the last few years, your city commission has hired some professional staff, and working with them, we've actually created some mapping programs. This is a software package, but what we've done is we've taken some of our work effort that we're doing with you with some other projects, which includes your water meter replacement project, which is the main thing on tonight's agenda. But also we've been doing a SSES, or a sewer system evaluation, which you've probably seen trucks all over town for the last, 5-6 months. But, you know, through those projects and other little projects we're doing with you, we're actually taking some of these efforts and we're building layers of information so that when city staff, whether we're using it for planning purposes or for people in the field, you can go directly to the source. And it's still something that's in progress, it's a work in progress, but let me just show you. So that's,
And while Joe pulls that up, what I wrote on the screen there is that Lake Butler is the first small city in Florida that's becoming a leader in incorporating this brand new cloud-based technology, which means the data lives on servers remote from Lake Butler. And it's a remarkable program that I think is going to help Lake Butler truly see into the future and plan ahead and provide us the data that we need to forward these projects.
any thoughts on that?
I would say get out of the end of the program.
You know, have you ever heard, Joe, how many engineers did it take to change a light bulb? It takes 3, 1 on the ladder, 2 to turn it around. So we might have to rely, call these young guys up for help. So Diamond Maps, while Joe pulls that up, Diamond Maps, the city staff actually brought Diamond Maps to us. And we heard about it, and a few other communities started to work with this program. It's a very low cost, we call GIS, Graphical Information System, that is based remotely. And for a very low subscription fee, cities now can have a tool that they can use the way they want to. So what Joe just pulled up is a current Google Earth image of part of Lake Butler. And he's going to show you what we've mapped on there for the first time ever. Because what happens with infrastructure is, 100 years ago, someone put the sewer line down Main Street, any street, highway, and then if there were drawings, the drawings get lost. And so when we went through all the files in City Hall, and thank you for staff for letting us go do that months and months ago, we found some drawings, which we've incorporated the data, and we found there were big missing holes in the hard data, as you would expect. It's that data just, if it ever existed, it just didn't stay around. So what we've done is started to piece together your water system, your wastewater system, your fire hydrants, your water meters, and the lift stations that convey all the wastewater to the plant. And so Joe's going to show you how, very briefly, we're not going to spend too many minutes on this, but how these layers work. Joe created these layers in our office, and the beauty of this system is, on my laptop, or my tablet, or my smartphone, and Joe in his office, or Miss Sarah or Dale can access everything you'll see tonight at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
From anywhere that they can have an internet connection.
Right.
So, okay.
So I'm not going to get into it very deep because, I mean, I could spend an entire hour on this and still not be able to show you really what it can do. So what I'm going to do is just kind of give you a quick overview, and then if you have some interest individually, if you wanted to get with your own staff here, Sarah or whoever, you could actually do that and spend some time with them. These are some of the layers that we've got on there. You probably can't really read it real well, but so this is like a layer that we've actually downloaded from county. What is that what it is? Yeah, so it's taking a while to load. So from the county, we're able to get all these partial shapes, and if we just kind of zoom in on one a little bit, you can see the individual lot lines and that, and you can actually click on them and see different things. I'm not going to bother with the county street. So we've actually we've gone through and identified where all the structures are and brought in addresses. Just again helps you figure out where you're at. We actually have a layer we call places. So places like, well, there's Laredo's Mexican restaurant. You can see right there. Of course, City Hall is right here. And there's actually a little text box, I won't, again, try to get into that, but, so like information on your various utilities. So there's a particular water line. Actually, you can see right there, if you can see where I'm circling, yeah, you can't quite see, it's a little bit fuzzy, it looks like. But it calls out the size of the pipe. There's a text box that can be brought up that will actually give you information about the pipe, the length of it. This one's not been fully filled in. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of time to continue to fill all this stuff in. Some of the information's not even known. So it will remain blank, but as the information is gathered through, actually maybe we have to dig it up for some reason, that pipe material might become known. But there's the water valves, you know, those are on there, and you can see some over here that popped up over right there. So it allows somebody to go to the field. There's like your fire hydrants. We were able to, you just had your fire hydrants flow tested here just a little while ago, so we were able, which is that one doesn't have that, so that one's not filled in yet. I think this is still a work in progress. Yeah, so, so in this particular case, there's the actual fire hydrant, gives you the address, the manufacturer. That particular fire hydrant was manufactured in 1910. It's got a 4.5 inch foot valve size, and the nozzles are 2.5. Last time it was flow tested is September 26th this year. And these are numbers that are important to probably the fire department, but also anybody that's looking to build a facility or tie into your system.
Into your insurance rating.
Right, because right there it tells you the static pressure is 55 PSI, which is a good pressure. The flow that came out of that particular fire hydrant was only 291, which is very low. And this particular one had a flow residual pressure of only 10 PSI, which is low. So if you tried to do the calculation, or did the calculation, you'd find that particular fire hydrant is only flowing at 254 gallons a minute at a 20 PSI residual, which is the standard in the industry. So that particular fire hydrant, actually I do remember that one. That one was substandard, because I remember when we looked at that one, it's actually quite a bit higher, and I think the one next down there was lower. So there's probably a valve, like maybe that valve right there is partially closed off or something, but it does indicate that there's an issue there. Plus the fire hydrant is from 1910, and there may be some issues. That's not typical of your system, because most of them are all pretty good, but you do have a few that are in there. But the point of this is that people literally in their truck can have a little iPad. As long as they've got cellular connection, they could bring up any of this information while they're out in the field.
And if, whenever you have staff turnover or hire someone else, or the fire chief changes hands in county,
The information's not lost.
it's all stays with you.
So like on the water meters, we've had a gentleman, you may have noticed him riding around on a little,
Utility
unit,
vehicle.
yeah, 4-wheel drive unit. And so he's been gathering meter information. We have a register number, which we've correlated, and the meter sizes. And he's still, this information being filled in, but we are replacing all the water meters, so we're not gonna bother to fill in all of these on the old meters, because they're gonna be being replaced.
And Joe, as you open the layer, as we receive information from the field or from our efforts, our CAD department, our computer-aided design department, can import that data directly to your program. And that's where a lot of this came from. We have the staff in our office that can actually take data from a number of sources and put it into your map. You can also do it manually, but you know, we have sophisticated tools to help bring a lot of this data in, which has been very, very helpful. And it's also why Lake Butler is the first small city in Florida to really gain this much information in this program, because it's the first city that we've provided this effort.
It is, yes. Lake Butler has kind of been our training ground, proving ground for this, and it's we've been very happy with the results. As I said, it's been hard to see it all in just a little quick meeting here. But so like this is the sewer layer. Some of the different sewer layers brings up the size of the pipe and their material information. All that can be put on there. This is information on the manholes, manhole numbers and sizes. Some of these do have photos on them. The lift stations are actually turned on, so let me just go to one of the lift stations, which is, where I'm at here, let's go down.
Lower to the right, you know,
Yeah, so
after there's the Waterworks.
yeah, so we go to that particular one. Here's information, there's a table that we've created, which allows you to get information on a particular lift station, general information, pump information, control panel information, Of course, these are also gonna be upgraded as part of the sewer project that we're doing for you.
This one dates to the 1960s at the water treatment plant.
Wet well information, generator information, even allows you the ability to have photographs within the program. So all this information is uploaded into the clouds. Anybody that's in the field, can see it, you know, if you've got access to the program. So that's that particular station. So the beauty of this is that if your people are working with a particular vendor, you've got a problem with a pump, the guy says, what's the model number of the pump, what's the serial number of the pump, you can actually go to this thing and just email the thing to the guy, and he's got all the information there. He doesn't have to figure out where it's at in the files. It's all right
It
there.
should be a very helpful tool for maintenance and repairs.
So, yeah, so, and I don't wanna get bogged down.
Yeah, no, that's
We
a
could
great
spend a lot
idea.
of time on it, so.
So that effort is something, as I said, it's been a learning process for both of us, but it's coming in very handy, because the next slide, when Joe pulls it over, you're gonna see what the activities we've been working on behalf of the city, and why this information is so critical, because now the city has approximately 6 or 7 significant projects in various phases, and we'll touch on them very, very briefly, and then we'll be wrapping up. Yeah.
Where does this start?
From the beginning,
Oh,
or from
well,
the
yeah.
current slide, or whatever. You can go to the tables now.
Okay.
So, and you have this in your handout, but if you look on number 5, which is the numbers are in the bottom right-hand corner, these are these activities. Joe just demonstrated diamond maps, and that's a work in process. The base mapping is about 65%, and then, as I said, the beauty is the city, and we, as we have tasks with projects, can provide some updates, and it's very, very valuable information, and it puts you on par for planning with larger cities in Florida that have GIS departments and all that data. You now can do a lot of the planning that small cities could never do before.
And your SRF projects that you're currently working on have what they call asset management plans.
Right.
And it's because the agencies have given out millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the years, and they're wanting smaller communities, larger communities, everybody, to become more responsible for the money that's being spent and the assets that they're gaining. So they're requiring what they call an asset management plan, which is a cataloging of all the assets, talking about its useful life and its status, and this particular program helps you with that.
Yeah, with the goal being that we don't come here 50 years from now and say, hey, we haven't done all this repair and replacement up till now we have to do it. Because that's what's happening really, and you're gonna see this tonight, is we are now addressing issues that are 100 years in the making. And it's very important that they be addressed now, as you'll see as we go through. But the next item is the water treatment replacement project, and Joe, you touched on that. You in the planning and design phase, and you have a 50% grant. It's
For the plan, yeah.
for the planning and design phase. And tonight, the next agenda item is going to be the draft facilities plan, which has to be presented to DEP. It's another step in that process. But this is a good example. 785 old meters, that are many of which are inaccurate, are going to be replaced. And not just with meters that will read correctly, but these will have an advanced meter information program, so they will actually communicate to City Hall automatically with real-time data. It'll help when there's leaks. It'll help citizens save money, and it'll have much higher level of accuracy than ever before with the billing and everything else, and it'll cut down staff time. The next column at the bottom is the wastewater collection system evaluation. Joe touched on that. We're in the planning phase. Contractor is about 75% complete, but then the next step is for Joe and the engineering team to really understand all that data. We're talking about 50,000 lineal feet of pipe in the city, which is being evaluated. So that's a large effort. And after all the inspection evaluation, the engineering design phase will begin. And we don't expect construction to start until early 2021. And you also have achieved a 50% grant for this phase, planning phase on that project. The next slide and the next page in your handout, page 6, is an upcoming project. The CDBG, which stands for Community Development Block Grant Program, is a state program that you've utilized before in the past. It's a 100% grant program. The city is eligible for $650,000. And working with your staff, we believe that making an application for one or more of your wastewater lift stations, your pumping stations, which are all outdated and significant need of replacement, would be a good use of that grant if you're awarded. We'll be applying in the spring of this coming year, and if you're awarded, the construction would be 2022-23. It's a slow program. It takes a couple of years to get funded. We think you have a high chance of getting funded, but this is one of these opportunities we're working on your behalf. The next one is the legislative appropriation. So this year, the state legislature will begin its session in January, and they've asked for requests from cities. And what you've sent them up, we on your behalf, filled out the Senate and the House forms and sent them, I believe it was last week. And we're seeking funding to replace the Waterworks lift station. That's where your water plant is. And there, we're asking for $600,000, and that's a very important lift station. It serves 2 public housing communities as well as the elementary school. And so we think that your Senator Bradley and Representative Payne will understand that, will help them understand that. Sarah and Dale will, and we think that it may have a shot at being awarded funding. If you are awarded funding, it wouldn't be available until after July 1st. That's when the state fiscal year begins. And I'm not going to put your chances of that $600,000 as high, but I think it's worth a try. The state budget's always tight. In the last few years, given a hurricane or other issues the year before, we haven't seen many legislative appropriations fulfilled. And we did submit on the city's behalf last year, and we're not awarded. So keep that in mind. Keep your hopes up, but not too high. It's a tough budget year again. And the governor just yesterday announced his budget, and he's focusing a lot on Department of Corrections, education, and environmental. And we think this kind of fits in with his environmental agenda, but it's up to the legislature. And then he has, if it makes it all the way through the House and Senate, he still has his days where he can line item veto it, or veto the whole budget for that matter. The next one is a large project. Your wastewater treatment facility that serves the city and the prison is over capacity on many days. This happened over time. That's a large facility there, and the city's been growing. And it also doesn't meet the current treatment standards that the Department of Environmental Protection require. You're in a unique area called the Santa Fe Basin Management Action Plan, and legislation in recent years have required that plants like yours in this particular geographic area have to meet this new advanced treatment standard. The good news is you're not being fined or told that you have to do it today or even tomorrow. You're being told you have to come up with a plan and then implement that plan as reasonably quick as possible. And the other thing that puts a little emphasis on this is you've had a history now of significant spills, wastewater spills, no fault of your own, but due to weather and due to this overcapacity issue, both in the city and at the wastewater plant. So that has to be corrected too. And those spills enter surface waters and then eventually can make their way into the upper Santa Fe Basin. But what's really unique about the plant is, besides it being the advanced waste treatment standards, it's also going to provide reuse water to the prison. Mr. Dale and Sarah and I went to Tallahassee some months ago and met with the senior engineering and procurement staff at the Department of Corrections, and they are excited about the idea of getting this reuse water for their vehicle wash down, possibly for their laundry facilities and possibly other facilities. And what that does for them is less water they have to pump out of the ground and treat at their own facility. So there's also a cost benefit, but there's an environmental benefit too, because all of us in Florida now are tasked, the cities specifically and institutions, with pumping less and conserving more water. The aquifer is not being recharged typically as fast as it's being drawn from. So that's a big deal to reuse. Then the other thing that this advanced treatment system is going to provide you is much more capacity. You're going to go from about 650,000 gallons a day capacity to 1 million. And that'll provide some cushion there for very important economic development possibilities and opportunities that might come your way. So if a hospital wanted to expand today, you may not have the capacity. Or I'm just making up these ideas, an assisted living facility came that the city wanted. with a number of beds, may not have the capacity of the plant, essentially doesn't now. So that's really important that you have that opportunity. You'll choose as citizens and elected body what kind of growth you want and don't want, but you won't have that choice until this plant really comes online.
And that particular project is actually 3 projects all kind of rolled into one
Right.
major project, because it's the construction of a new advanced waste treatment plant, 1 MGD plant. It's the construction of a 200,000 gallon per day reclaimed water reuse facility, including on-site storage and high service pumping over to the prison. And then it also includes the wetlands, okay, you
Yeah.
actually had it.
Yep.
I'm sorry. So it includes a wetlands treatment for a final polishing and then aquifer recharge for the remainder of the water.
Yes,
So
and
it's
the
3
recharge,
projects all
it's all the components that the state of Florida really wants to see now in these advanced waste treatment facilities. So what happened recently was last legislative session, the legislature appropriated about $40 million for a brand new program. They called it the Alternative Water Supply Program. As soon as we heard about it, Joe and I spoke to your staff and said, this could be a possibility to seek some funding to get this project shovel ready. And we made that application with help of Water Management District, Swanee River Water Management District. They liked the project, they sent it up to DPP, and it was just awarded funding weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's very, very new funding, and, you know, congratulations to the city, because this is the first time we've seen something like this happen. And the goal is, and the strategy is, we'll get this, all these components and the new plant completely planned, designed, specialized studies done, what we call shovel-ready, and then we can take a shovel-ready set of plans and specifications and really seek some additional grant funding for the construction. You're always looked at more favorably with the funding agencies if you're shovel-ready. So this is a huge, we personally didn't think this would happen this soon, but thanks to the legislature, it did, and we will begin the planning phase early next year, January, and it'll take a good, we expect June 2021 to be completed with this first phase. And then the last item is just other projects, and here, you know, we're basically your city engineer, we're on call. So earlier this evening, I met with Dale, who said, hey, we got this grant we want you to look at. This is the kind of thing we do. A month or so ago, Sarah called Joe, and they had a conversation about bringing a water line to a possible new business. So all I wanted to say about that is we're always working on other things as needed. But what I'm really pleased to say is that this city now has access to engineering and construction administration and funding expertise that we're thrilled to be working for you, and we're thrilled that we have such a high quality body, elected body and staff to be able to forward our best efforts. You know, when you go to work every day, you want to provide your best efforts. We've been able to do that in Lake Butler, and we thank you for that. So if you're ready to answer any questions, then we'll move on. That's it for us. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, at this time, we'd like to suspend the meeting to go to public hearing.
I would say we're ready for that.
Motion to suspend the meeting.
Okay.
You don't have to read this.
I make a motion that we suspend the meeting for public,
And go to the public hearing.
and go to a public hearing.
Second.
All in favor of suspending the meeting this time to a public hearing, aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. So what you have before you tonight is actually what we call a facilities plan. And just to kind of give you a real quick recap, early in this particular calendar year, 2019, we submitted a revised request for inclusion to a funding agency to get planning and design money to do a water meter replacement project. And this is something your staff had already thought about, figured out, it kind of started the ball rolling, and we came in and just kind of kicked the can one more time, and we got funded for it. From there, we put together the loan application. The loan application, you all actually approved it back in March 19th. that document was submitted to the funding agencies, took a little while to circulate back and forth. We finally, this past summer, got turned loose to actually start on the project, and we have now done that. You all actually, your staff had started a, kind of a pilot program, I would say. It is a pilot program with 25 of these water meters back, probably been, what, a year and a half ago, maybe? It's been a while. And you've had that in progress. Staff has really enjoyed it. It's worked out well for the city. And this particular project will actually take that to fruition for the entire city. So, kind of a little quick rundown on the timeline. The project will actually fund the replacement of all of your existing water meters. Roughly 785, we've actually called out for 800, independent, that number varies up and down. The 785 includes both your active and then a few inactive meters. I think there's like 24 of those. And it will also replace, so it's going to replace all those meters and the meter boxes with them. And it will also replace 20% of the water service lines, which goes back to the main lines. So if your main line's over here on that side of the road, the water meter's over here replaces that pipe that's under the road. Might be old galvanized steel, could even be a little bit of lead pipe. There's, you know, when this stuff goes back 100 years, it could be any combination of various metals. So we're going to replace 20% of them, which obviously we're going to pick the older ones, the ones that are most problematic. And each meter will have its own new valves and cork stops and all that stuff. So I mean, it's going to be a nice clean package when you get it done. But to kind of tell you too why you need to do this, A, is you're going to save a lot of time, probably about 2 man days a month is what I understand you actually spend on reading the meters, but you've got a tremendous amount of unmetered water or unaccounted for water. Roughly, it's about literally 30% of the water that the city pumps is lost, unmetered, whatever. There's a lot of loss in that system. So you're actually pumping, where's that number at? You actually pump per person, 125 gallons per day per person, but only 90 of it is billed. So 35 gallons out of the 125 remains unbilled, so which is a very large number. If you were to take that difference in the water and you say that it's all going to meters, then obviously part of it is coming from water leaks, no doubt. But if you took that number and you looked at your billing rate, that in the lowest category you have right now is $2.10 a thousand gallons, and you took that money, those gallons, which is I think it's like 65,000 gallons a day. 65,000 gallons a day is unmetered. So if you did the math on that, you would actually find $50,000 a year of unbilled water that is pumped. It is pumped, but we just don't know where it's going. We're guessing that most of it is because the meters are registering very low. There's obviously part of it is water leaks. But the way your rate ordinance is, which is how most everybody is, so for every gallon that you bill on the water side, you actually bill that on the sewer. So if these people are actually using the water, they're not being billed not just for the water, but also for the sewer. And your rates currently are actually the same $2.10 per thousand gallons on the sewer side. So that's another $50,000. So you're actually got $100,000 a year of unbilled water and sewer services, less the leakage component. So I mean, that's part of why you really need to do this, in addition to just the effort that's going into the system. So when you look at replacing meters, the old-fashioned way was you put in a meter, you went out and ran it every month. So the more advanced systems are what they call an AMR, which is Advanced Meter Reading System. And those were probably introduced probably 20 years ago. And it was where you would have a device that somebody could literally drive down the street, a little golf cart or vehicle, and the device would pick up the radio signals from these meters. They would drive it to various blocks. Sometimes you could skip every other block, but you would come back with a data collector, download it into the system, and you'd have meter readings for that month. The newer versions of that took it another level beyond all that, and that's actually what we call an AMI, Advanced Metering Infrastructure, and it allows the meters to connect every day to
Each other.
they kind of flow through a mesh network, but they actually come to a central collector, which is here at City Hall. But it's actually reading the meter throughout the day, and then once a night, midnight, whatever, 1 o'clock in the morning, they kind of all wake up and they start sending that information, and they bounce through each other, and they eventually get to City Hall. So when they send that information for the day, it's actually the entire day's worth of data. So it allows City Hall, it allows customers to actually go online and look at their water usage. So if you have a normal person that maybe uses 200 gallons a day, and you set the threshold at, say, 1,000 gallons or something, that would shoot off an alarm. She could come in the morning, or wherever your billing people are, and it would say, hey, account number so-and-so on this street over here, they normally use only about 100 gallons a day, but for some reason they use 500 gallons or 1,000 gallons, and it might be worth, basically to do all this, but it's a clue that, hey, maybe you need to go out there, do a drive-by, if you see water flowing out of it, whatever. If nothing else, at least notify the property owner that your water usage has gone through the roof, and you need to do something. Maybe you've got a slab leak, maybe you've got a hose that's left on, or whatever. But it allows somebody to correct the problem instead of waiting the entire month. Now all of a sudden having a $400 water bill when they could have cut it off before the problem became a problem. So it's a higher level of customer service in addition to correcting some deficiencies in your billing and also saving labor for City Hall. So you have a much better product as far as the customer experience. So if we talk about cost, so that's why you're gonna do it. So the cost, if you look at the cost moving forward, you've already got a planning and design grant that was funded. And
That's 50%.
and that's a 50-50 grant. We're estimating in that document, we put together construction cost estimates, and the AMI program is $1,254,000, but it's gonna be around an 80% grant is what it looks like, 20% loan, which would amount, and it's a very low interest rate, we're talking about around 1.5%.
For 20 years.
For 20 years, so when you do that math, and of course the meters can actually last for 20 years, it works out to be $14,600 a year of debt service. And when you drop that down to kind of equate it to individual customers, that would be like $2 a month per customer. But when you back out roughly $10,000 a year of actual meter reading cost, it brings that down to about $1 a month per customer. And then when you consider that you're underbilling by that $100,000 a year, all of a sudden that number totally goes away and you're actually in the black. Now, what will probably happen is you'll probably have a little bit of water conservation going on as people's bills tick up because they've seen that instead of me using 2,000 gallons, it turns out I was actually using 4,000 gallons. And depending on the customer, depending on how old their meter is, how out of sync it is, how much drag is in it, it'll vary. Some people might have a newer meter, the meter might be registering fine, other people not. So at the end of the day, our projection is that it's actually not gonna cost the city anything because you've got that 80% grant, but it's gonna provide you reduced cost of running City Hall meter reading, and your customers will actually have a better experience of being able to actually go online if they want to, or if you've got a problem or leak, you'll be able to notify them halfway through the month instead of waiting until the bill comes out. So obviously it's our recommendation to move forward with that, but you do have a full report that goes through the details in front of you. I think it might have been emailed to you late yesterday.
And this is a requirement of DEP to get to the next step.
Yeah, right. So this step is the planning phase. The next step is the design phase. This document, as well as the design document, is actually due, I think it's December 15th at Tallahassee. As soon as this is approved, our intention is to go ahead and submit it up there early, get that going, and then put together the plans and specs.
And Mr. Mayor, that's our recommendation to approve this resolution 2019-07 so we can transmit this water facility.
And of course, that's a separate resolution when you go back to your city council meeting. So there's a public hearing, so we're here to answer your questions as well as that from the public.
Does the public have any questions?
Yes. Anyone in the public? Questions? Comments? Anyone? Anyone? Thank you very much for your presentation. Do we want to adjourn the public hearing? John?
Make a motion to adjourn the public hearing and go back to the regular meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Going back to resolution. What was I at? That's right, number 5, resolution number 2019-07, Dr. Waterworks.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2019-07, to be read by title only.
Resolution number 2019-07,
a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lake Butler, Florida, relating to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, State Revolving Fund, SRF, adoption of the water facility plan for the implementation of water system improvements effective this date.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
219? Aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimous. Item 6.
Can I ask you a question? Joe, on page 18, there's a place for the mayor to sign. Do you see the sign there?
I don't know if we need to do that, what was it, page
Right.
18?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that
it's
probably is a
just
PDF.
before appendix D, current rate of
Oh.
resolution.
Oh, no, that's,
That's something he's already signed.
this is under appendix,
This is under,
appendix? Page 18 is more in front.
appendix C, it's the last page on appendix C. Just before appendix D.
At the bottom of the resolution,
When he signs a resolution, that goes, I mean, in
Oh.
my opinion, that
Yeah, no, that's-
overrides
that item
what
has-
he's got.
One, that particular item has to be completed, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so that will happen later this week or early next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Nadine Meinhardt, Partnership Specialist, representing the Census Bureau. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dale, for this special invitation. 2020 is right around the corner when the once-in-a-decade population count happens. Conducting a census is a massive and significant undertaking. Everyone needs to be counted once, only once, and in the right place. So we gather here today as Union County leaders and community residents to educate you on the census and your potential role in promoting participation countywide. So yes, every 10 years since 1790, America has been counted. It's required by the Constitution, and it's your civic responsibility. So why does it matter that everyone be counted? It's not just a process to figure out the number of people who live in the United States. It's much more than that. The data collected determines how many representatives each state has in Congress, which ultimately drives decisions to benefit your community with programs and services that you depend on for the next 10 years. The funding for those special programs that you depend on is estimated this time around in 2020 for the next 10 years to be over $675 billion distributed annually to the state and local levels. So reflecting back on 2010, Florida picked up 2 congressional seats. So we want to keep up that momentum, and we know that the dynamics of Florida are changing, the population's growing. We want to be mindful of that and ensure that everyone is accounted for. The census could mean something different to everyone. The data is used in so many ways to plan for a variety of needs, such as planning where to build new schools, roads, housing, hospitals, planning for emergencies, providing for those with special needs, where to open up new businesses, what products and services to sell, and much, much more. As a data collection agency, the Census Bureau must protect that information. We know that privacy and confidentiality is a major concern to everyone. Our systems for collecting this data are IT certified in modern times, encrypted, all those good things that the technology team has been devoted to building and have ready for the 2020 census. We do not share that information with anyone. In fact, the information is kept for 72 years, locked up somewhere, and not shared with anyone. I don't know why it's 72 years, but that is a fact. And then I guess it's part of the ancestry searches that everyone's so familiar with and fond of doing these days. We don't share that information with law enforcement agencies, not police, not ICE. The information is not even used to determine government eligibility benefits for anyone. So some areas that are what we consider hard to count and historically do not respond are all concerned that if they respond to this simple 7-question survey, that that information is gonna be used for other reasons, and that is not true. So again, the goal is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place to ensure we have an accurate and complete count representing Union County. So, for the first time ever, everyone can respond 24/7, anytime, anywhere, online. Previously it was by paper. This time it's made available by phone, by online, 24/7, on your laptop, on your desktop, on your cell phone. If you still are apprehensive or intimidated about going online, because we know there's, concerns that way, we will have a phone call center available to accommodate everyone. And then eventually, if you don't respond, we have a field operations team, which has done this in the past. They will be knocking on your door, persistent, to get the information. And it won't stop them from coming back. And they have many attempts. The invitation's gonna come out in mid-March. You can begin to respond right away. And by the time mid-April comes around and our database shows that you haven't responded, we're gonna prepare, starting in May, for the field team to come knocking at your door. So at this point in time, we want to get the word out and explain to people, create awareness, build confidence about why it's important for everyone to respond. The goal here, though, is to encourage everyone to respond online and try to eliminate paper, because eventually they'll get a paper form. But we don't want to really get to that point. And then the field enumerations team that knocks on your door, they're not going to have a paper form either. They're going to have a handheld device to capture the data. We're trying to save tax dollars here. Maybe by 2030 there won't be any paper at all. So these handheld devices have been created to try to steer away and start with modern times now. So the time is right here, right now, to prepare for 2020 success. We ask that all of you join us as a partner and become part of an influential network. As trusted voices in this local area, you know your community best. So you can create and build awareness with everyone that you touch on a daily basis who knows you best, to help encourage them and explain to them why it's so important to respond. So you're not sure how to get involved? That's why I'm here. We have a fabulous outreach plan. We know there's not one size fits all for any county. Every county has a different demographics, personalities. So we have boots on the ground, me, and working together with you as partners to touch everyone. So far we've been hard at work. Met with Sarah and Dale at the chamber meeting recently. We're getting into the schools so that all the kids can know and be wowed about statistics and come home and share the enthusiasm with their families. One conversation, word, enthusiasm leads to more people being aware of it, going to churches, hospitals, libraries, you name it, to make sure that there are no barriers for everyone to respond. We know that there are barriers. We know what all the different types of barriers are, and we want to address them and overcome those concerns. So we have tools galore in a library of information that has been created by the marketing team, which is I'm really impressed with it. You can go on census.gov and click on partners and see it yourself, but it's a wealth of information to a point where I can help you make it easy for you with all your competing priorities and drill down to the level of what your community niche is to help speak to your audience everywhere. So we've got all kinds of marketing materials and our time to help you and participate in meetings, presentations, events, everything. So one of the tools that we use is called ROAM. It's Response Outreach Area Mapper. Anyone can see this to drill down to the census tract level to see what areas of demographics, the demographics of any particular area, to see why somebody might be hard to count. I've come to see in this particular census that everyone matters, because the climate is tense here, where we just want to get out the word and overcome everyone's different concerns. Sharing information is one of the major things. Google and all them, who knows what they do with some of your information, and we just don't share it with anyone. So we want to speak to those concerns or talk to people in the low-income areas who really are concerned about their benefits being affected, to know how short, easy, quick this form is to fill out. There's no social security number, no bank account information. It's simple, fast, easy. Everyone can do it in less than 10 minutes. And we are bringing jobs to the marketplace. This area, we need to boost in job applications. We have an office in Gainesville that manages the field operations team, but the people who will work in your county live in your own backyard. The pay is $16. They just raised it from $14.50 an hour to $16.50 an hour to entice people. That's pretty good. And mileage, from the time you leave your driveway to wherever you're going to knock on doors or do whatever other work they want you to do to get the job done. And, it's gonna start next year, so people are gonna have holiday credit card debt to pay off or some other unexpected expense that everybody can use the extra money for this important mission that we have. So, I'm here to support the county with major enthusiasm. We're just getting started in Union County. So I'm ready to engage with everyone for all the right reasons. At this point in time, that was kind of high level. Are there any questions? Is anyone in the room concerned about themselves responding when the invitation comes in the mail in March? You're going to get, I don't know what it's going to look like, but you're going to get a code to go online and respond. But there will be a phone number if you just still want to dial into the call center. But let's face it, there could be a backlog, hold wait time. We don't want people to get disenchanted and hang up the phone and give up. And then people knock on the doors, and nowadays people don't even want to open the door for anyone with what we would consider proper ID. But the law enforcement in the community is going to know about this, so it won't seem as though to you in your community that strangers walking around, even though they have ID. They're going to be aware that they are there and what required ID they need. And then you might also be curious about the prison. That's going to be counted by our group quarters initiative. So they're going to go in an organized fashion and deal with the leadership at the hospital to make sure everyone's counted. So when Union County's in 2010 only responded at 58%, that took into account that the prison had 100% count. So there's still so much work to be done. Exactly. And there's reasons why, and we want to address them. I don't live here, but I'm here to help you. And from just the experience along the way since I've been on board since March in other counties, we can just expect every type of concern to come our way. And we want to help people and give a warm reception to the whole thing and connect with everybody for all the right reasons. We only have one chance here. So any questions? I've left you with a folder of information with my card, and I look forward to hearing back from you to keep this going.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for the letters here. I can see where she's going to bring on efficiencies in the county now. So way to go. I'm not an engineer, but I was a chemist, so I can pay attention to all those details and cost-benefit analysis.
Thank you very much for information. Number 7, training strategy proposal.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the retail consultants were here last week. And talked about several success stories, and I'm gonna let Sarah take over and talk about it, but it was an interesting presentation for those who weren't here.
So Sarah Beth Thornton from Retail Strategies came in from Alabama to present to us a proposal for their company. It was very interesting for those of you that were able to make it. She was able to pull up quite a bit of retail information with our community. She could tell us specifically how many dollars are leaving our community and for what products or services. Now, there are several companies that can do this, but Retail Strategies were one of the ones that the city manager interviewed or discussed with, and they could provide for us all of economic development. They could provide the data and go after the businesses, and that's what the proposal that is attached in your agenda item is. The cost that she gave us is approximately, or is $40,000 annually, or for the first year, and $30,000 annually thereafter. So we were discussing where exactly, if we were to go this route, where would that money come from? Because we're up against the challenges of, we're in desperate need of increased revenue. As you'll see, our general fund is suffering. You know, we have a very low tax base. But our general fund is suffering, so, you know, there's always an inherent risk with spending this much money, especially when we have other many needs that are pretty significant. So we had a thought about the Downtown Redevelopment Fund, the CRA. So I looked back at the plan, the CRA plan, and while the plan does not directly address spending money on this particular activity, it very much discusses the need and the aggressiveness for seeking retail. That is, it's all through the plan. And I think we can make a direct connection and justification if we choose this route. I just highlighted some areas that the plan specifically addresses. The aggressive recruitment of business activities to the downtown and pursuing new development opportunities. The stakeholders that were put together to develop this plan, that was huge. And the tax base 20 years ago was a concern. So we've looked at the budget, and we do feel that there are some projects that we could either absorb in another area or postpone to look at pursuing this. Now, we will have to go out for bids for this particular activity, but that it gives you an idea of how much it will cost us. We are faced with some tough decisions coming up. We're going to need to do something, tracking retail. We're just strapped for time and energy. We're in desperate need of sleep. So, any thoughts or any discussion?
So have you looked at someone else?
Had a chance to talk to Buxton, which is a national firm that is probably one of the top dealers in this kind of a thing. But when I talk to them, they want $60,000 a year. They'll provide me with the data, and oh, by the way, you get to go knock on all their doors. I don't have time to go knock on everybody's door. This group, with their funding, they will go knock on the doors, guarantee 30 companies will come and look at the city of Lake Butler, and they will do all the work. They will basically be our economic development arm for the city, which we don't have right now other than it's Sarah and I. But the other thing is that we can piggyback on the procurement process that Lauderdale Lakes and Lake Worth have done. They've already contracted with this firm to do work. And so we can do that if we wanted to. Rather than go out for bids ourselves, we can just piggyback.
And for what it's worth, when she was here Wednesday, I heard that they serviced Lake City, and I asked about what they had accomplished there, and I can't remember the exact number, but there's 25 businesses that are either there or in the process of coming in that they attract.
Well,
Lake
it's
City.
an increase of about $300,000 a year in tax revenue for them. And now, we're not, Lake City, we're not
No.
sitting on a freeway, but
No.
have a potential, if we get one or two businesses of some sort, it'll pay for all of this, so.
Yeah.
So it's is there a risk? Yeah, they may not do anything, but at the end of a year or 2 years, you can always fire them and go back to the way we've been doing.
Yes.
So they pretty much collect the data and sell Lake Butler to businesses.
Yes.
They do the marketing and everything.
And
That's
that,
how they make their,
that-
Yeah, yeah. I just kinda, that was pretty much sums it up in an easy way for everybody to understand. You know,
and
Good point.
he said it's gonna piggyback, which is that's to get away from bidding it out, right? Just piggyback, but it's still 40 for the first year and then 30 each. So it's quick.
Well,
They're out.
with Lake Butler, or Lake Butler, with Lauderdale Lakes, it's $40,000 a year, and they signed a 3-year contract. Lake Worth was $50,000 the first year and $30,000 each year after that. So, it depends on which city you piggyback on, it's about $40,000.
And then you sign the contract, of course, and they're probably want at least a 3 year.
Well, they typically want a 3-year, but they told me that they would go for the 1 year.
Okay.
What was so significant about the data that was presented is, not only did it say.
Well, the part about,
the
the-
money.
and also about, the money, but also about the potential of the growth of Union County, Lake Butler.
Right,
There's a lot of potential for growth here. And, we really need that to kind of, cause everybody can't leave Lake Butler and go somewhere else or find jobs somewhere else and live in Lake Butler. And eventually, once they find a job somewhere else, they may move too.
well, and what she, I'm sorry.
Since last, we have a ballpark figure, maybe what kind of dollars we may be losing in the years?
Yes, that was astounding what she presented. We don't, it was in the millions, but not only, she would give us a taste of it, I think 20 million in grocery. But she could even, the data that they collect drills down even farther to say specifically what products. So it's better than just collecting demographics. I mean, people spend money on what they want to spend money on. This presents exactly what people are spending money on. So they can reach certain industries. Hey, this industry may be good for you in this little town because these people are spending this much money on your product in another community.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out how she came up with her numbers, but just your telephone number and your credit card, it shows where you live. And those credit cards get run all everywhere except here. And that all becomes, the companies where you're buying your stuff, they sell that data. And that's how she comes up with our losses.
Right.
Sounds good, it's all I can look at.
I mean, yeah. I think something that we really need to look at and think about real hard. Because like you say, revenue, it's not all about money, but it's just being there. If I live here, I wanna be able to spend my money here, support the community. And if they got stuff here that I like and you like, then you're gonna spend your money here, and you're gonna spend your time here, and you're gonna invite family and friends to come. I know she mentioned about like clothing, there's another store, I think the hospital, not hospital, but a hotel was in her thinking as well, you know? So there was quite a few, companies that she sort of threw out there for us to get a picture of.
And I guess it's an advantage only having a 1-year contract instead of 3, because then if we don't like the ride, we can get off.
Or you get a 3-year contract and get off at the end of 1.
You know? Has it got a bail in it?
Oh, yeah.
And I do believe that, this, what she presented and what she said, they're gonna put 100% in trying to make sure they get companies to come and look at us to see what potential they could have, coming here, developing
Yeah,
here.
she said that companies look at statistics,
Mhm.
What Lake Butler, the traffic and the traffic counts and all what the makeup is here and
Right.
the age group. And so they provide all that to the company and say, you don't have to do all the research, here's the data,
Right.
go find.
Surely she's gonna start out with a targeted type of business. She's gonna target something.
Well, she sits
You
down.
know, so that, the list is gonna go from one to start at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at what she thinks would be successful and would want to buy on coming into Lake Butler. They're gonna have a targeted type of vendor or business, I would think. I would hope so. I would hope so, because there's certain things that would be an easier sell than others.
Oh, yeah.
She would sit down with, the commission and the staff to talk about what it is you want here. And what you would think would be,
Well, I would think she gave her $50,000, she would have that idea.
well, she already has that.
That's what I'm saying, this is what I seen in the
Well, she's
program.
not gonna do it by
It's
herself.
there.
She wouldn't do it by
You gotta
herself.
start out with a Dollar General before you get out, a Dollar Tree before you go to Walmart. It don't take $50,000 to figure that out.
Well, takes 50,000 to go knock on.
You know what I'm saying? You
No.
know, you got, we still like Butler.
Yeah.
You got, and you still, and believe me, ain't nobody want more retail like Butler than me. And I could I could name the 5 things I want right now, but I won't. Cause they, certain places got monopoly on you in here. And that's what I don't like, is monopoly, being held hostage.
Auto parts, clothing,
That's the
pharmacy,
biggest, so.
getting ready to need a
Our
bag.
thing is, it comes down to this,
Grocery store.
do we wanna throw the 50,000 in there, or 40,000? And she said she might be able to do the CRA, I don't, we can't count on that, I think we kinda getting in the gray area there, but I'm with it, I think, worth trying. It don't say you can't, don't say you can, but it's definitely, it's an investment. It's an investment, and people lose money every day in investments. It wasn't budgeted. So, you're gonna take in a budget amendment, and you're gonna lose something else on something else that you've already approved. Just keep that in mind, it ain't gonna appear. So if you put 50-40 into this, then that's 40,000 that's already budgeted for something else that will be took from. And we ain't gonna raise nobody's stuff in mid-season to pay for this. I'm not.
One vehicle.
Well, we done got the Polaris, we done got the Silverado. So,
Yeah, but this is a new budget year.
yeah, but the budget's already set. The 40, this is an additional 40 on top of what's already in the budget.
But I'm
So
saying
something would have to be amended and took from this fiscal budget of 1920.
But the city's gonna have to spend money to make money right now.
I'm with it, but if we're gonna, I'm with it, so let's go.
Well, if we go for it, it'll be up to those two to figure out how to pay
So
for
I
it.
wanna know I'd like to know where it's gonna come from before I approve it. What are we gonna not buy? What are we gonna take out of the budget to pay for the $40,000? So they gonna want the $40,000 in January.
Did you just explain that one we got?
I did, yes. So we looked at the CRA.
Yeah, but if you don't get it from the CRA. Right, you're hoping that the CRA, you're gonna take it from the CRA.
What we did was look at the CRA budget. We budget returning $20,000 a year to the county. Okay, the county would also receive tax revenue.
That's right.
Like, why wouldn't they, why can't we use that money? So we chose to do that. We can chose to amend that agreement. So I think
That's in the interlocal.
I think that is
county.
money, I think that is money much better
I agree.
spent.
I mean,
And
the
also,
county's gonna benefit just as much as we do.
or more at 10 mils opposed to 2.75.
Right.
So,
They're maxed out.
yes, so that, and we budgeted $10,000 for the sprinkler system underneath, for the irrigation on Main Street, which DOT, that's a DOT project.
That's what
They are,
you're getting more line item now to what I was referring
Okay.
to. What are you gonna
Yes.
take? What are you gonna stop?
and it may be that you don't wanna lock yourself into, you wanna pay for most of it out of the CRA, but then pay for some of it out of the general fund as well, so you're not locked into, if you do attract some kind of retail business, you're not locked into just the CRA district, which the CRA district, covers most of the commercial area. But in the event that that didn't happen, we could fund some of it out of the general
All right,
fund.
I agree. I'm with it. Question
Just
though,
thought.
they do the footwork to bring the businesses in. They cannot make property though. They cannot, the property, the vacant property in the city limits of Lake Butler, it is what it is. You got to have property for businesses. They can bring you're gonna be still limited by available space. It don't matter who you are. You're gonna be, they cannot change the geographical area of what we're dealing with in Lake Butler. You're strapped on property. If the landowner don't want it, they could bring in all kinds of business. They could hit, hey, boy, we got 3 lined up, but ain't nobody want to sell the property to them to build it. So the company's done their job. They've done their job. But they can't finish the deal due to the lack of space. Now, we don't have that many vacant commercial zoning back to zoning lots available. Am I wrong?
We have identified several because we have pursued different
And-
transactions. And it's not, and it hasn't been because the property owners wouldn't sell. It would just be because the funding, it was not there, or we couldn't make
Well,
the
if the company
transaction.
wants
Again.
if they line up a company, they got plenty of money, they'll get on what they want, more, 5 times the value of the property. That's what they're looking for.
We haven't found, it hasn't been the experience that the land isn't for sale. Because we have put some potential businesses in front of the landowners. Again, we just can't, we don't have the time to be aggressive. But we have tried.
So what do you want, you want us to vote on approving to move forward with what you got here? I mean,
Move forward. Yes, approved to move forward. with the project.
budgeted, no, the dollar amount, $50,000.
Piggyback on Lauderdale, that's,
Is it 50 or 40?
40.
So we just need to ask the city manager and number cruncher to come back to us
They need to go ahead and drop the contract, then come back to us.
with where the money's coming from.
Yeah, I don't think you can, we can vote to give him approval to move forward with piggybacking and doing a contract with Real Strategies for the cost of this for 1, 2, 3 years, whatever, and then it's gonna have to come back to us to approve the final action. Am I right, John?
That's correct.
So, we need to have something more formal that we can approve for approve off on, just like any, you know, to get around the bid process, because I think it's worth the chance. I mean, no venture, no gain. One of them things I told you, you know, 5 years from now, I told you so. They got, made the right decision, or we just threw $50,000 in the lake.
Or you would look at it as you tried.
You tried. But when you approve these things, like I say, we don't never turn down nothing when they want something. Bam, you want it, got it. Bam, you want a pay raise, you got it. Bam, you want a new truck, you got it. We got a free hand, they sign, one thing about us, they don't mind signing the check around here. So, this is 50,000, you gonna have to keep back from signing the check somewhere.
It's not
40.
50, it's 40.
Well, if you go 2 years, it'd be 80, 70.
Well, if it goes 1 year and it's a bust, I'd be hard pressed to go another.
I think that if you do 1 year, they'll be more motivated to get it done quick and show at least one store, then you'll extend the contract. You know, that's how they, you know, you do 2 years, they say, well, we'll allow you, you know, for 1 year. I think 1 year, and hopefully they'll say, well, we tried, but didn't know good. Maybe they'll get one, and then we'll go and extend the contract 2 more years.
What's your recommendation?
But if we never make a move, we'll never know. We don't know.
I think right now, we're at the point where all we need is a motion based on what Mr. Casey laid out. I can't remember all of it.
I make a motion that we authorize the city manager to proceed with a contractual agreement with Retail Strategies, piggybacking off, who was that? Lauderdale Lakes. And for a 1 year at approximately $40,000, 1 year agreement, $40,000. And then, present it back to the full commission for approval once that's, been written up.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item eight, demolition of done property.
We have gone through the process of the magistrate, and the Donovan property is ready to be torn down, or whatever the commission decides to do.
The money was approved, it's already been approved. In a final, in an earlier meeting.
Right.
You know, we did, remember, we did it, because we didn't want to wait in November to have to wait around to get the money.
The bids are attached, or the quotes. The low bid is.
What we approved, the 55?
No, I think y'all approved 75, I think it was. But we had two bids come in. Three, yeah.
Oh, according to my paperwork.
Yeah, that third one I don't count.
Okay, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you'll realize.
Yeah, I know,
7, 8.
yeah, I get you, yeah. I'm gonna build a house for that money.
So the money's been approved.
So what do you do here?
We need to make a motion to accept the low bid of Southscape LLC for $5,500 with the money that's already been approved to demolish the Donovan property. Right?
Yep.
I make a motion that we approve, the agreement with Southscape LLC for $5,500 to do the demolition of the Donovan property.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item
Yeah, to go back to that one, you know, that will add a lien to the property.
And all the legal stuff that goes along with that. It don't matter, just get it tore down, let's get it tore down. Please, I have heard that for 15 years.
All right, we got it. We got number 9 as well.
Number 9 is, the Rural County Days is coming up in, January, and, we're asking for $750 for the event. We did this last year, and we did it with the county, and now we're,
Pretty good looking.
inviting other counties to go with us.
So January.
It is.
total.
And is anyone interested in attending the legislative reception?
I have plans to do that.
You do? If you do, I need to know as soon as possible because the tickets are going pretty quickly. And there's a cap of 200 to spread around to, at this point, I think 9 or 10 counties.
We need
I make a motion to approve the $750, for the city of Lake Butler to participate in Rules County Days in Tallahassee between January 14th, 15th, and 2020.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, 10 city of Lake Butler.
you have the video ready?
Okay, earlier this year, we submitted a grant to Enterprise Florida to complement the marketing and the branding that we had pursued earlier.
So we just took care of that with other companies, right, the marketing?
Yes, yes, we did. Which they had already presented
It's slow warm, it's slow warmer right now.
Good job, Rachel.
Oh, you obviously don't get back.
All right.
Y'all need to play that for the movie night next time, let everybody see.
Jacksonville. And so a lot of times when I tell people that I'm from Lake Butler and they ask me where that's at, I try to tell them that Gainesville, Lake City, and Jacksonville form a triangle, and Lake Butler's right in the middle of that triangle.
Here we are, they go around the middle of both of those locations, but yeah, so different. I think everyone's used to the hustle and bustle of big cities and, well, life in general. And, this is a place to kind of step back from there. It's a place to really step back, slow down, and, enjoy life.
Lake Butler's a small community. We have about 1,800 residents inside the city limits, very close, tight-knit community.
It offers more of a rural lifestyle, the opportunity to explore the natural resources a little bit more in its natural state. One of my favorite things to do is to actually get out here at Lake Butler Lake and kayak around the lake.
We like to eat in Lake Butler. There's a couple of good restaurants. And obviously, the main attraction we have around here is our lake. And we have an awesome water park for the kids. During the summer months, it can get kind of busy around here.
Okay, I'm trying to search for words to properly characterize Mayberry.
I would sum up Lake Butler by saying it is the modern day Mayberry off the Andy Griffith Show.
I would want day trip visitors to just come to Lake Butler, enjoy the relaxing, laid-back, slow-paced atmosphere for just a short little while. Enjoy a small town with a few great restaurants, some beautiful natural resources, and just relax and enjoy life.
I've never been any place like Lake Butler. I'm not originally from here, but I feel like I've been here all my life.
Scenery surrounding the, that was the motto that we used for our earlier grant for strategic, for economic development, yes.
Nice, very good job.
It's almost complete, what is left, I think maybe to purchase the music, and they added the Enterprise Florida logo, and that's it. And thank you to David and Stephen for participating, and Jack and Fred.
So we're using that along with, Butler was materials so that we're trying to market, Lake Butler. And it's a place to go and visit. Can't say come and spend the night because there ain't no place to spend the night.
But come and get it.
But this group may make it possible with retail strategies, who knows?
Maybe.
All right, thank you. Item 11, city manager, Christopher.
And I have a opportunity to be an adjunct professor again at Gateway Community College, or Gateway, what is college, what do they call that? Gateway College. And, but I need a contract to be able to do it.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
I have an opportunity to be an adjunct professor of business at Florida Gateway College, and according to the contract, I have to get your permission before I go ahead with the process. The unique part of it is, while I will be teaching in the classroom, to begin with, they want me to deal with a Pell Grant and teach in the prison at Columbia. So okay, I cannot fail a murderer because he gets out and puts after me.
Let him interfere with you.
No, it won't interfere with my performance here.
I make a motion that we approve the city manager, accepting the position of adjunct professor at Florida Gateway Community College, so long as it does not interfere with his work for the city of Lake Butler.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did you want to do that?
Well, I can do it now if you want. We have a group of young people that would like to invite the commission to be more visible. And their proposal is that they would raise funds for free cocoa and free Krispy Kreme, and get the kids from children's group to do some carols. And the commission pass out the Krispy Kremes and give away the hot chocolate. So that's during the Christmas parade. So that's just to let you know.
Oh, doing the Christmas parade.
That's just to let you know that they're out there for that and trying to.
Do they have a
so this-
location?
No, but I would imagine it's going to be in big pavilion or someplace down there. Oh, okay, yes.
Hi.
Here. How are you?
Who are you?
I'm good. My name is Oprah Moore. I am Red Sermon's daughter, his baby child. I, along with some individuals, Kevin Bradley Jr., Mr. Ryan Perez, Kelsey Harrison, and Tiandra Sermons have decided to get together and try to create events that will bring our community together to where we can interact with each other, see what's going on, ways we can make Lake Butler better, see our commissioners, have our young kids know who they are, and those individuals learn who we are. So one of our first events that we're trying to do is to do free cocoa and donuts after the Christmas parade, hopefully down by the pavilion. And just to interact with the community interact with itself, and bring shed a new light on Lake Butler. We think it's a great opportunity for people to engage with one another. So,
Is this before the parade or after the parade?
we're doing it after, because I know before the parade, everyone is getting busy.
Okay.
And this will bring opportunity to shed more light on the parade, hopefully get a larger crowd to come out and engage with each other.
Free donuts, so come.
I would.
Thank you. All right, City manager?
My comments are in the city manager's report, so.
I have nothing. Mr. Shane?
Yes, sir, nothing.
Mr. Raven?
I have some. I remember now. All right, December, there will be no family movie night. Well, one thing is parade, the second Sunday, we having the parade, so that's one reason why we're not gonna have that Saturday. And then also, Farm Share is that same day, December the 14th, down at the community center. And then, to those who I may not see before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving.
I forgot one other announcement that, February 1st, we've been notified that we're going to have on Lake Butler a drag boat racing competition with about, 40 boats that are gonna do drag racing. Free event, which, in other communities is, been a big deal. It's drawn about 5,000 people, so maybe it's our wintertime event that will rival our 4th of July. Maybe we can probably have free cocoa and donuts too.
Mr. Casey?
Cody, is there no, airboats sign at the Lake Butler Lake ramp?
There is a sign that says no airboats.
So we're gonna have drag racing boats, but we can't have airboats? I don't have anything yet.
Well, there's, the airboat sign is, I think, a gray area. I think it was put up years back.
Just,
But I do
somebody
not-
brought it to my attention, I've never seen it.
It's
Somebody
there.
brought it to my attention, we don't own the lake, the state owns the lake. I don't care if the GFC wants to, if the game warden wants to put it up, I'm with it, but I don't think we have the authority to do that. So you might wanna get with the city manager, y'all make a decision
Yeah,
on where the
I
legality
think it was
of
put
stand.
up,
But,
and-
and I wouldn't even said nothing, but he just brought up some drag boats.
Yeah, I think it was put up and it's not voted on. I think somebody just,
Now, I've been here a pretty good while, I don't never remember, and we could have, but I don't think we can do that.
it
must be a
wasn't.
resolution, because it's not an ordinance.
I
Yeah.
don't think we can, it might be, but I, really and truly, we're pushing that, I don't know if we can do that.
Well, I mean, I've been out in.
Well, like I say, I wouldn't even have thought about it, except I'm thinking about, and I know it's a noise issue, you know, if it was done, it's a noise issue, but when he brought up the drag boats, I just said, surely. Then if we let them on the lake, we can let an airboat on the lake. That's all. Y'all have a good
I
Thanksgiving.
don't have anything.
I make the motion with adjourn.
Second.